tonight, we have the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, on the program. He joins us from Kaduna State on some of these issues, the economy of Kaduna State and some issues of politics in Nigeria. Malam Nasir El-Rufai, governor of Kaduna State, thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you, Shehu.
Yes, it's good to see you again, Governor. I know it's not a very good story coming out of some part of Southern Kaduna when we thought that maybe somehow things have rested in terms of the killings and some of the restiveness that we're seeing in the past years over in that area of the state. But recently, when we've started seeing some of these situations, what can you tell us as a chief security officer of the state that you have discovered as regarding this crisis?
The problem in Southern Kaduna has a 40-year history. And for some people, even you could say that is centuries of history. We've had several such ethno-religious clashes in the past, starting from 1980-81 in Kasuwa Magani down to the present day. So, the current one is not new, it's not strange, it's not peculiar to this situation. On average, every 3 years we have these outbreaks. And we've done our best to manage it. In the past, whenever you have this crisis in one part of the state, it tends to spread across the state with Muslims killing Christians, Christians killing Muslims. But we have been successful in containing these outbreaks since we came into office and containing them to the areas where they start and stabilizing and then arresting and prosecuting those we think are involved or are responsible. This has been going on. Like every crisis in Southern Kaduna, it usually starts with a quarrel between a person from one ethnic group and another. If they happen to be of different ethnic groups or different religions, the individual conflict, instead of being resolved peacefully by going to traditional leaders or religious leaders or the police or other lawful authorities, it tends to expand into an ethnic conflict, and before you know it, it covers an entire ward or local government or an entire senatorial district. That has been the pattern since 1981. We are familiar with it. We do our best to respond as quickly as possible to reduce the loss of lives and property, and then take steps to, prosecute those that we're able to apprehend. But our justice system is very slow. There are people who've been prosecuting since 2017. They are yet to be convicted because of the nature of the justice system and the fact that our judges, our high court judges, are overworked. So, unfortunate as this is, we've done the best we can. Now, I want to add that there is a lot of talk about Southern Kaduna, but people forget that in North and Central Kaduna, there are also similar instances of banditry. Indeed, the number of people killed or homes destroyed in Birnung local government, Chukun, Igabi, and Giwa local government far outstrips the seriousness of the situation in Southern Kaduna. But because that conflict has no identity issue there, it is mostly bandits that are suspected to be Muslims. Killing Muslims is not an issue. For years in Zamfara state, people have been killed, villages displaced. It's not headlines because it's same ethnic groups or same religion killing each other. Recently in Katsina, in Sokoto, in Niger, these things have been happening. What is very curious to those of us in the Kaduna state government is the undue interest far above the normal of the media and people that don't know better, because the southern Kaduna conflict is far complicated, very complicated. People don't know the nuances of this, but they sit in their homes in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Abuja, and they make uninformed commentary, largely led by a few irresponsible leaders in southern Kaduna who have no profession, no business other than use these unfortunate situations to further their nests. Security has been a big problem in northwest Nigeria as well as northeast. It's not Kaduna State alone, but people seem to think that it's only in southern Kaduna this is happening. When villages are wiped out in Zamfara or Sokoto or Katsina, it is not genocide. But when tribal groups attack each other and kill each other in southern Kaduna, it is genocide, it is land grab, and so on. It's absolute nonsense. It's criminality. We have to face that and deal with it. And I believe that the authorities, the military forces, the police, and other security forces are working around the clock to bring an end to it, not only in southern Kaduna, but also in central and northern Kaduna, as well as the entire northwest.
Governor El-Rufai, I mean, you've broken the issues down because you are there, and as being the governor, you perhaps understand some of the nuances of the situation there. There was a white paper, I understand, since 1992. That's about 28 years ago now, since that white paper. But the recent occurrences that we've seen in some part of the state, specifically now because of the situation in southern Kaduna that have been most recent perhaps, how would you describe it? A religious or ethnic clash, or simply this kind of banditry that we've seen in other northwestern region?
Well, it's a combination of several things. First, Shewan, let me correct you. You said that there was something in 1992 and there was a white paper. That's part of the problem. There was a clash between Hausa settlers in Zangon Katab and Katab indigenes, and 1,350 people, mostly Hausas, were slaughtered. A commission of inquiry was set up. While the commission was sitting, there was a second round of slaughters, of clashes between the Hausas and the Katabs in Zangon Katab. And the commission of inquiry submitted a second report. Since 1992, no government has had the courage, no government at the state level has had the courage to do a white paper on that incident. This is, so I want to correct the impression that the 1992 events had a white paper. No state government did it. Instead, in 1995, another military government appointed a committee under Air Vice Marshal Usman Muazu, former governor of old Kaduna State, to chair another committee on peace and reconciliation to try to look at some of the recommendations of the 1992 Commission of Inquiry that never had a white paper published. That report was submitted by the Usman Muazu committee. He's deceased now, may his soul rest in peace. But again, we could not find in the records here in the state government any white paper even on that committee report. And what happened recently in Zangon Katab that has led to this fresh outbreak of violence has to do with a land dispute between the Hausas and the Katabs. There is a parcel of land of about 172 hectares that both tribes are claiming. The Hausa settlers in Zango said it's their land. They bought it 100 years ago or more. The Katabs are saying, no, it's our ancestral land. We didn't sell it to you. That was one of the remote causes of the 1992 crisis. But unfortunately, no steps were taken to resolve this matter. And it is the same unresolved land matter that arose, that led to the current crisis. So we took a decision as Kaduna State government, since government is continuous, what the government of 1992 has failed to do, we can do. We are not afraid of anybody, no matter how high or low. We will deal with anyone. No one is above the law. We will go into that report. We set up a white paper committee to do white papers on the three reports: the Zangwan Katab 1 and Zangwan Katab 2 Commission of Inquiry, as well as the Usman Muazu Reconciliation Committee. And the white paper committee is working. They will soon submit a report and will implement the recommendation to the letter. Anyone that is found culpable that we need to take action against, we will. Some have died. The land issue will be resolved. We will find a resolution so that we don't have a recurrence of this. So it is partly ethno-religious, it's also partly banditry. Okay, bandits engage in cattle rustling and kidnapping. They don't discriminate between ethnic groups. It's an economic venture. These bandits that are mostly Fulanis, by the way, just kidnap everyone. And their biggest victims are even Fulanis because they rustle their cattle and kill them too. So, but when these bandits attack a Fulani settlement and rustle cattle or kill Fulanis, it's not news. But when they attack an Adara settlement or a Katab settlement and rustle cattle or kill someone or kidnap someone, what we have seen as a pattern, particularly among the Adaras and the Katabs, is to turn and attack the nearest Fulani settlements in their locality, even though those Fulanis have lived there for generations and they have lived peacefully and they have never stolen anyone's property. But they go and attack them because one Fulani bandit has attacked you, you feel you should take it out on any Fulani you see. This is what happened on June 5th and June 11th. And we knew that once that happened, there would be reprisal attacks by the Fulanis. Because these are innocent people that have lived there side by side with the Katabs for a long time. They have never had any problems. In fact, in the 1992 Zangon Katab 1 and 2 Commission of Inquiry reports, as well as the Usman Muazu report, the Katab leaders themselves said that their problems were with the Hausas, that they have lived in peace with the Fulanis. So why did the youths of Zangon Katab, why did the Katab youths attack neighboring Fulani settlements and killed people? This is the reason for the recent crisis. So there is a combination of both. There is also a history of impunity. I mean, the Zangon Katab 1992 crisis, where thousands of people were killed, had to be taken over by the federal government. The state government didn't have the will. So the federal government set up a judicial tribunal under Justice Okadibo, who sentenced some people to death. Zamani Lekot, Atomic, some of them are dead now, but Zamani Lekot is still alive. They were sentenced to death. And that death sentence was commuted to life. And then they were released. So there is a culture of impunity. There is no consequence for killing your neighbors. There is no consequence for killing another ethnic group. And it has engendered a culture of impunity throughout southern Kaduna. That's why we've had this crisis over and over and over. Since we came into office, we've had the most serious one, 2016, 2017. We had one in 2018. We've arrested people. They are being tried. But the justice system, as I said, is very slow. I would like to see a situation in which people involved in this are convicted. And if some are sentenced to death, hanged, so that it sends a message that you can't do this kind of thing without consequence. But so far in the history of the Kaduna State, 40 years of history, no one has ever been successfully convicted for all this crisis. And that is the third leg of the problem. So to summarize, there are ethno-religious issues, there are years of suspicion and envy and so on. And there are also years of impunity, but more recently, banditry has compounded the situation.
Governor El-Rufai, with all of this, I'm very sure that you're worried about some of the commentaries from some leaders in the state who are worried that you may have taken sides in some of these issues and about some of this land dispute. Of course, we know that the farming season is new, is coming. Another farming season is coming in another few months. Have you been able to visit that area, and how are you dealing with the notion or the accusation coming from those who think that you have taken sides?
Look, they can say whatever they want. The problem of the Southern Kaduna elite is they have their own narrative. Whether it is true or false, they stick to it. And anyone that says something to the contrary has taken sides, even amongst them. This is one of the problems that frustrated my former deputy governor, Architect Barnabas Yusuf Bala, to throw in the towel and say, I don't want to be deputy governor. I would rather go and run for the Senate. Anyone that is moderate, anyone that is promoting peaceful coexistence between various ethnic groups is considered a sellout. And a governor like me who does not appease them, because they are used to being appeased, they cause trouble, they organize these killings, and then, you know, they are invited, their leaders are invited by the governor, they wine and dine, they are giving brown envelopes. That's what they have been doing for 20 years. And we came into office and said, no more. Nobody that does not encourage peaceful coexistence will have access to the governor or the government house. I have no time for them. I am using the security agencies to carefully map them, and when we accumulate enough evidence, we will get them, we'll put them before a judge. I have no time for nonsense. I will not appease criminals. I will not appease idle people who have nothing to do but to raise a specter of genocide and so on, so that they can get donations and money into their bank accounts from abroad, instead of standing up and having a profession and a business and earn a living. Most of the people saying that have no means of livelihood. They were living off government. These governments before us were paying them monies every month as peace money. We stopped it. This is why they will say I have taken sides. Whatever they say, I take it. I'm the governor of the state. If I'm not abused, who will they abuse? But let the facts speak for themselves. Let them bring out their facts. Let them contradict any facts that we say. We have the facts. We have the security agencies. We have more information than any of them. And we know what we are doing. We know what we are spending to try to keep Southern Kaduna safe. For years, every commission of inquiry recommended that there should be a permanent military base in Southern Kaduna. We established it. There have been service chiefs from Southern Kaduna in whose time the military base was not established. President Buhari and General Borotai established a base in Kafanchan. We bought an estate, 150 million, and gave to Nigerian police so that they will have a permanent police mobile force detachment in Kafanchan. This helped to a large extent to stabilize the place since the last crisis in 2017. But now they have come up with other things because the money they got during elections is exhausted and they have to cause trouble. They can say whatever they want about me, but I want everyone to know this. I'm very, very clear. I will not appease troublemakers. I will not tolerate people that incite. I will map them. We will arrest and prosecute them. That's my style. Rule of law, I obey the law, I do what the law says, and that's it. Unfortunately, all the people who've arrested and are being prosecuted since 2016, 2017 are yet to go to prison. This is part of the reason why this vicious circle keeps recycling.
Have you been able to visit these areas, especially Southern Kaduna, since some of these, the resurgence of these crises?
No, but the state government is present there. I don't have to visit personally. Our Commissioner of Internal Security and Home Affairs visits whenever there is a situation. We have the garrison commander, the CP going there. I haven't gone there personally. You know, we are in a pandemic situation. Movements are restricted, and I don't want to give any bad example by going to a place and having large crowds and so on and so forth. That's why I haven't visited. But our officials are there constantly. I am not the government. I am the head of the executive branch of the government, but it doesn't mean that the government is not there. The government is there in full force. Our emergency management agencies are there. The security forces are there. And our peace commission is there. Everyone is working around the clock. We are engaging with the elites of the place, the elected officials, and disappointingly, many of them will admit certain things to us. They will admit that their youths are involved in this, but when they come out in public, they sing a different tune. Shewin, at the root of all this is two issues. First of all, no matter how many people we have as security agents in anywhere, southern Kaduna, northern Kaduna, central Kaduna, unless people are willing to embrace peace, live in peace, full coexistence with one another, no amount of deployment of the military can keep the peace, because we are overstretched. Our military is overstretched, our police is overstretched. So people must be willing to live in peace. We have 54 ethnic groups in Kaduna State. It's a diverse state. We have 10% of Nigeria's ethnic groups in one state, and most of them are in southern Kaduna. So they must, embrace peace and learn to live together. And they have lived together for hundreds of years. This problem is a recent phenomenon. It's a 40-year phenomenon. That's one. Secondly, and at the root of this problem, the root of this ethno-religious intolerance is the question of citizenship. Who is a citizen? Does our constitution differentiate in defining citizenship between a settler and an indigene? It doesn't. Whoever is a Nigerian can live anywhere in Nigeria. And it is my duty as the governor of the state to protect and give all citizens the same citizenship rights guaranteed by the constitution. The problem with the narrative of some of the elders of southern Kaduna is that, one, anyone who is not Christian is not from southern Kaduna. Anyone who is not from the originally indigenous tribes of southern Kaduna is not from southern Kaduna. All others, Kafanchan is a railway town. Kafanchan has 3 generations of Yorubas and Igbos that came to build the railway system. Most of them have left because of the violence. Anyone that is not indigenous to that area, they want them out of the place, or they should be treated as second-class citizens. I can't accept that.
Yeah.
I can't accept that, and it is my duty to ensure that everyone has equal rights. All right. This is the crux of the matter. And until the leaders of southern Kaduna, particularly the religious leaders, begin to preach unity, which is what is contained in both the Holy Bible and the Holy Quran, using authorities and rule of law, peace will elude them, development will elude them, investments will elude them. Nobody will come and invest in a place that is always in the news for violence.
All right.
So, I think that the elites of southern Kaduna need to stop being selfish and take the overall interest of the community into account and work with us to engender peace in the place so that the state can make progress.
Let me ask a final question on the issue of security in Kaduna State, and perhaps you might be able to respond to these issues. First and foremost, this is a straight one. Since you got into office, how many people have been arrested as regarding some of these violent tension? Do you have a number?
I don't have a number in my head. The Commissioner Internal Security and Home Affairs will have a number, but we've arrested scores of people. I don't know whether they're up to 100, but certainly 60, 70, 80, that kind of number I have read in previous briefings. Okay. Maybe so now even more, because we are still arresting some people now. So people are being arrested. Some are being prosecuted. As I said, from 2017, no traction. It's very, very slow. The wheels of justice grind slowly, but it's better for it to grind slowly and be fair than to run fast and be unjust. So we understand that.
Governor Rufai, my last question on the issue of the security is some of the agitation on the minds of some southern Kaduna people who believe that there is some kind of inequality, lack of government presence, and neglect of that area in terms of development. In fact, there are allegations also that you reopened the case of the Zango Kataf, which some indigenous people there were disarmed, but they believe that some other ethnic group like the Fulanis were not disarmed, hence giving rise to the retaliatory strikes in that region. Some of them are also alleging bias in that regard for reopening that case. How would you
That
react
is
to that?
complete that's complete nonsense. The 1992 Zangon Katav report never had a white paper. There was no disarmament. I introduced a disarmament program in 2018, and the targets of the disarmament actually in those days was even the Fulani cattle rustlers and the bandits. So we disarmed them. Okay, there was never a time that we went and disarmed Katavs or Baju or anyone. We never did. These are some of the stories that they create out of nowhere and they put on social media and make it the truth. As for development, Sheun, let me assure you, and I can give you facts and figures, and when you have the time, you can have me on channels for 2 hours. I can prove to you that this administration has done more work all over every ward in southern Kaduna than any previous administration. We have a primary health center in each ward in Kaduna State, 255 equipped by GE, and we are building staff quarters so that we have 24/7 medical facility within 5 kilometers of wherever you live. We have rehabilitated schools, we've expanded schools across the state. I challenge anyone to tell me which local government or ward in southern Kaduna we've not built schools or rehabilitated existing schools, primary health centers, hospitals, and built roads. When in our first term of office, the most expensive road, the longest road in this state, 2.something billion naira, was a road that crosses 3 local governments in southern Kaduna. Is still under construction, is about to be completed. The longest road in the state, the biggest contract. But they still come out and say nothing is being done. They are marginalized. They are this. The 8 local governments of southern Kaduna, Sheun, account for 28% of Kaduna State's population. Okay, this is from 1991 census. This is also validated by the voters register. But they contribute 63% of the civil service when we came into office. Is that marginalization? They are not marginalized. But they keep shouting marginalization, they keep claiming to be victims, and they have the sympathy of those from parts of Nigeria that are uninformed, so that they get sympathy. But the facts on the ground contradict their narrative and their claims. That's why they go elsewhere and tell these stories, but not here. We have the facts. We can provide the facts. I can give details of every project that we have done in the last 5 years in every local government, in every ward, and no one is left behind. We do not discriminate. When we make appointments, we ensure that each senatorial district gets positions. We ensure that when we are building roads, we split them almost equally between the senatorial districts. When we decided to do urban renewal, we are doing in Kaduna, we are doing in Zaria, we are doing in Kafanchan. When we decided to assist the local government by doing township roads, just tar their roads in their headquarters and put solar street lights, we allocated 10 kilometers to each local government headquarters. We are yet to do it in some local governments in southern Kaduna because of the violence.
I'm being told that I have just about 120 seconds to end this interview, this section, and I have some other issues to discuss with you, but I'll just take on 2. I'd like you to help me also stay within the ring of that timing that we have left. The first and foremost issue is on the national politics now. You have announced where you will pitch your tent of support in the 2023 presidency. Are you still having consideration for competence, qualification, and character? You said you're not going to support a northern candidacy in 2023.
No, look, I did not say I will not support a northern candidate. I did not say I will not support a southern candidate. All I said is that in Nigeria's political culture under this constitution, there is an arrangement. It's an unspoken arrangement. In the PDP, it's even in their constitution. It's not in APC's constitution that when a southerner rules for 8 years after Obasanjo, the presidency moved to the north. There was no question about it. It did not stop people from the south from contesting, but the consensus of the party leadership is that the presidency should go to the north, and Umar Yar'Adua emerged. Now, what I'm saying is, based on that arrangement, unspoken, it's not signed anywhere, after Buhari does 8 years, what is honorable is for northern politicians to put their support behind a southern candidate. I never said at any point that I will not support a northern candidate. That issue does not arise. I just express my preference as a matter of principle to respect what we have as a political arrangement. We will get to a point that this will not be necessary. I don't believe in zoning, for instance. I don't practice zoning when I appoint people, but that is not the point. That's my opinion, that's my feeling, just like Mamandora, who said we should drop zoning. Yes, but we have this arrangement, and until we overcome this preference for north handing over to south and back, I think we should maintain it. This is my point. Now, I do not believe that any part of Nigeria has a monopoly of competent people, has a monopoly of people with capacity. So it really doesn't matter. If you say that you want a president from the north, there are many people that are qualified from the north. If you say you want a president from the south, there are many competent, qualified people from the south. So it's not an issue of competence or capacity. Okay, this country, there is virtually no local government in this country that you'll go looking for a PhD in anything that you cannot find. Nigeria has gone beyond that. But I agree that when the aspirants all come out, we should look for competence, capacity, character, integrity. All those will come out when the aspirants begin to emerge. But for now, my position is we have an understanding. Let us stick to that understanding unless circumstances completely change. In 1998, this country had a consensus that the next president of Nigeria should be from Southwest. And all the political parties presented candidates from Yoruba land. That is what I'm hoping would happen. I'm hoping that in 2023, all the major political parties will present candidates from the South so that we maintain this arrangement, which will go a long way in engendering stability in the country. Of course, 24 is a long time in politics, and we'll wait and see how things go. But I express my opinion. That is all. And it is my opinion, and that's it.
We spent a lot of time in talking about how you're handling the security situation in Kaduna State. I'm glad that you're able to speak to some of these issues. I don't have any regret. The only regret that I have this evening is that I wanted to take you up on the committee that you headed on the issue of the APC Committee on True Federalism and some other governance issue. But time is not our friend tonight. But give me your word that you'll be back on the program with us to discuss some other national and governance-related issue, Governor El-Rufai.
Shehu, I give you my word. I will come back anytime that is convenient to both of us.
Thank you so much, Governor Nasir El-Rufai, for
Thank you very much,
Shehu. I appreciate your time.